Well, this is a subject that I think we all need to know about, and I think as people watching, it'd be a good idea for you guys to comment about your good customers and your bad customers, and what kinds of things to look for. Because over the years, I've figured out that the trick to being a successful painting contractor, painting houses, is to being be good at interviewing your customer, and the same thing that they're doing for you. They're interviewing you to make sure that you're going to do the job the way that they want it done, and you're interviewing them to make sure that you are going to make money doing the job that you're charging for. So a lot of times, the worst customer in the world will be the one that wants to make sure, no matter what, that when you walk out of there, you have your tail between your legs, no money in your pocket, no profit. Let me put it that way. You got paid, but it doesn't matter because you didn't make anything. And that's your worst customer. So that's the way I look at it. And then your best customer is always the one that wants to make sure that you get paid fair and wants to get you out of there as quickly as possible and get the job that they are paying for. So, my favorite customers are the ones, like I said in another video, who basically just hand me the keys and say, we trust you, and you just go ahead and do your job. They come back at the end, they look at everything. Of course, everything looks great because they weren't over your shoulder the whole time trying to watch every little thing you're doing, and they trusted you, and you did the job, and you're done, you get paid. The worst customer is the one that, whatever you do, it doesn't matter how good it looks, doesn't matter how, they just, they're just out to, they're not really, they're out to make sure that they're just hiring somebody to beat up. That's what they hire people for. They hire people to do work on their house, to get whatever frustrations they have out, somehow, and make you do whatever you need to do 2 or 3 times. Now, when you're doing your interview with the customer, and as a person interviewing your painter, those are the types of things that you need to do to work out when you're doing that estimate. So typically, I'll ask somebody, things that'll tell me what they're looking for. Like, I'll say, well, we can do this, 1 coat or whatever. Oh no, I got to have everything 2 coats, primer. Oh, well, then I'm kind of going, okay, let's back up for a second. Okay, and then let's figure out whether this is real or this is just a guy who just wants craziness, And so then I'll tell them what, well, really what it needs is this, this, and this. And then if they are listening to you and they say, well, okay, great, okay, really, that's what I need. They thought they needed this, but, those are the types of things you need to be interviewing your customer to find out whether they are listening to you or not. And if they're not listening to you, do not. You give them a price if you want, but be busy when they come to ask you for the job. Typically, one of my things is when I do an estimate, I will not usually give them a price unless I am very, very confident that that customer is going to be, a reasonable person. And when I get done, I'm going to get paid and I'm out of there and moved on, and they're going to be happy. So usually what I'll do is I'll tell them, okay, let me get back to you on a price. And then I'll, want to work everything out. I might even know what the price is going to be when I leave. But sometimes I just want to just ponder on it, a little bit, and kind of figure out whether I think that they're going to be a good customer and whether I want to do the job. Sometimes the job is a problem. You might look at the job, you might look at the house, you might go, man, this job's going to take me, 5 or 6 days or 7 days. And you know, by the square foot, you know, it's not going to work out numbers wise. So somebody else is going to come over and bid it by the square foot, and they're going to look at it and go, oh, well, you know, it's, you know, X amount of square feet, so it's going to be X amount of price. They're not figuring out, you know, all the bushes, all the, you know, the fact that the gable over the roof is very difficult to reach, and it's going to take you a lot of time. You're going to have, you know, ladders and scaffolding or whatever. They just bid it by the square foot, and that's the job you want to lose. So, you know, these are the types of things, you know, but I'm talking about today really is about the customer. And your job as a contractor, and or as a customer, if you wanted a customer, if you're looking at this as a customer, is to interview the person to find out whether they're going to do the job. If you want to be a good customer, you need to find somebody that you trust. If you don't care whether you're a good customer or not, you just find the cheapest guy and you just make them do it, you know. And if you listen to this, painters, if this is what they do, this is what those bad customers do, is they go out, they find the cheapest price. Okay, the worst customer to me, they find the cheapest price they can find, and they grind you into doing the best job. And so, unfortunately, what happens when you do that? You got more labor, more materials, and no money to cover that. So what happens? You don't make anything hardly. So, and our job is trying to survive and make a living. You know, you don't want that customer. That customer you want to turn down. You want to figure out by asking them questions. By when you go out on the interview, I call it an interview. It's an estimate, right? Estimate, but I call it an interview because what I'm doing is I'm interviewing them. At the same time they're interviewing me, whether I want to do their job. So you really need to look at that. You know, let's write down in the comments some of your worst or some of your best customers. Love to hear about it. And as painters, I want you guys to read the comments that are down there and learn from them, good or bad. And that's how that we can all learn together how to interview those customers. And those asshole customers, they won't have a painter because we all know each other. We all know, if all of us that have read the comments will go, oh, that guy. I mean, if you want to put down somebody's name and address, that's up to you, but I'm not suggesting you do that. But you know, I tell you guys, I've only had I had one job where I was doing a house, and I actually, you know, it was a general contractor I've done work for before, so I knew I wasn't going to get in trouble by doing this. I said to him, look, I said, you know, I came here to try and help you out, but I'm not going to be able to finish your job. I said, here's the paint. I'm not going to charge you anything, you know, hopefully you can finish this. And he understood, because it was just this guy who just, and I was doing it for him. You see, I wasn't doing it for, if I went in prime and I estimated this customer, I would have never taken the job, but he was already in there. And I, you know, and he goes, man, I just want you to try and help me out. And I went, okay. So he was a good general, and he's real honest and everything. And I went over there and tried to do the job, and I was over there about 3 or 4 days, and it was, you know, there was just this, it was just weird. There was some kind of a race problem. You know, the guy was African American or black or whatever, you know, however you want to say it, and I'm white, and everybody and it was just had a chip on his shoulder. And you know, I don't know how this happens or whatever, you know, I'm not a racist, but you know, there was just this problem where everybody who was white, who was on the job, was a problem. And so, like, he would pick your work apart, but all the African American black guys who were on the job, their job was fine. So I'd go, hey, you know, the popcorn ceiling, you know, it doesn't blend in very good. Well, no, it's your paint. It's your paint. No, it was the popcorn ceiling. It's the way the guy blended it. It's not done. Well, that guy was a black guy who did the drywall, and I was white. It just didn't matter. It didn't matter what I did. And I feel for you guys who are black, who have that happen, to you because you're black. And that's not cool. Okay. Either way. So, but, I was just like, hey, you know what? No matter what I do, this guy's just not happy, and he's just a jerk. And, the general ended up out of there later, met up with him later, and he goes, man, I ended up having to sue the guy, and he still owes me $6,000. I don't think I'll ever get paid, but I won, of course, in court because there was nothing wrong with the job. It's just the guy he just had a problem. I don't know what the deal was, and the guys who are white who have that problem, fix it, dude. It's not cool. All right. So anyway, that was my big problem customer that I've ever had. And again, like I said, I would have caught it on the interview. I've had a couple of them that were pretty difficult. And I actually made a deal with them as I said, look, okay, I'm really here. I figured, 4 days for this job. And at the end of the job, I just said to him, look, I'll tell you what, I'll work here one more day. And whatever that is, I told you how much it was going to be for this really, really custom job you wanted that you're trying to get me to do now. Well, no, I'm not trying to get you to do that. Well, obviously you're not accepting what I wanted, what I'm doing. And I mean, everything looked really nice, but she wanted it like everything's super smooth, spray finished, but she didn't want to pay for that. And I had already gone over, what the difference is and how much the difference in price is. And she goes, well, I don't want to go that far into it, So then she's going, well, what about this and what about that? And I go, hey, remember I told you in the beginning, to get that job, it's going to be this much money. And she goes, well, I really want it better than what it is. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. I'll come over. I'll work one more day. I'll work one more day at your house. And whatever it is at the end of the day, you've seen how much I can get done in one day. We're just not going to look at it. We're going to say it's good. All right. She goes, okay. Then that was the deal I made with her. So, she wasn't that unreasonable. She was unreasonable. Of course, she called me up to do more work. And guess what? I'm busy because I didn't make what I was expecting to make, and that's the way that, we should treat those people. And, don't take those jobs. Don't take them, just, hey, starve or whatever. Go cut grass for a day, or, make a YouTube video, or I don't know, do something to make some money. Don't take those customers because they're just going to cost you. And we all make that decision. I mean, sometimes you get broke, you get tired, you get to that point where you got to take a customer, you need some work, and you take one on that you don't think you should have. And that's usually what happens is you end up, making less per day than what you were thinking you should. All right, so I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and make sure you comment below. Talk to you in the next video.